welcome all of you to today's little episode. And today we're going to talk about buyer's remorse. I read an article about buyer's remorse, and it said it was a post this morning that came out on my news flash that's saying that 82% of millennials have buyer's remorse when they talk about buying a house. Now, I think that's a pretty big number. So, is buyer's remorse real? Well, I got to tell you that anytime, and you don't have to be a millennial. I don't care what age you are. If you spend a whole lot of money, there should be some pause for thinking about, wow, how expensive is something like this? And if you do your homework, if you do the legwork that you're supposed to do, you're going to be informed. But I'm going to tell you what, that no matter how informed you are, there's always going to be somebody that got a better deal. There's going to be somebody that got a better interest rate. There's going to be somebody that got a faster car. There's going to be somebody that didn't pay as much for a down payment. But we're going to talk about buyer's remorse and some of the best ways to be prepared for that buyer's remorse, because apparently 1 out of every 2, that means over 50%. So no matter where you are, if you're in California, if you're in Maryland, if you're in Idaho, or you're out in the Bahamas enjoying your purchase, the fact of the matter is that it is over 50%. It's not 100%. Not everybody feels that way. So if you don't have a case of FOMO or you don't have a case of anxiety, you don't have to worry about that, because not everybody feels that way. And there is this other thing called cognitive dissonance. Ooh, that's a really big word. What does that mean? It just means that after you went through all of the process of trying to come up with all the best ideas, all the best reasons, and have all of the best preparation and got the best deal, and spent a lot of money on a really big purchase, whether it was a car, it was a house, it was a condo, or an airplane, or an island, or a hotel. It doesn't matter who you are in the spectrum. After you've done this, there is this thing called going. Did I really do the right thing? Did I get the best deal? Did I? Well, here's the truth. There's always going to be a better deal someplace, and there's always going to be a better price for something. So what you have to ask yourself is, what motivates you to make a purchase anyway? Is the time right? Are you making enough money? Are you spending more money in your rent than you are in something that we call a mortgage? So there's only one way to kind of find out about this. And I think today we're going to explore this. So what I want to talk about is, what is the price of admission for a house? So if you're just starting out, and let's just say that, well, I'm in California, so I'm going to say everything that's directed at California, but then I'm going to compare it to a few other things that are not California, like a national average. Okay, so depending on where you are and where you're consuming this, and make sure you click on like, or you click on the bell, or you hit subscribe, because I'm going to give you more content about this kind of thing. And if you like it, please share it with other people. Now, about this thing called a mortgage. Mortgage is the process of paying for your house, because here's the deal. No matter if you paid $500, $600, $800, $900, $1 million, $2 million, how many of y'all have some cash sitting around in a coffee pot or jar buried in the backyard? Nobody does. And a good advisor would tell you, even if you had all that money, because there are cash purchases, but it's for a different reason, and it's for a more sophisticated buyer. But if you're just starting out and this is your first purchase, I'm going to just say that no matter how much money you had, you would not put all that money down on your house. Now, there's this weird little misconception that in order to get a loan, you have to put 20% down. Wrong. And if you are a first-time buyer, there are these wonderful things called products, okay? And a product is how a loan might be packaged up. And the reason why they have all of these things is because there's so many variables. Things like your credit score, like your stability. And I don't mean mental, okay? I mean your financial stability. You knew that, right? The variables that are involved in this will be dependent on what kind of product a loan officer may bring you. Now, you may be tempted to just go to one spot, but here's the deal. If you just go to one spot, let's just say you go down to the local bank. Okay. And the bank turns you down. Now you have all of this history, this information, and you've had your credit pulled. All of a sudden, you now have to go to someplace else. But here's the reaction. You go to the next bank and they go, oh, it looks like your credit just got pulled and you got a ding. And what happened there? So you lose points every time you go to a different lender. This is why I think it's a really healthy, good idea. I'm not telling you what to do, but I would, if I were you, I would go to a loan broker. A loan broker, one person that collects all of your information that you're now ready to package up and bundle up and put together. They look at the best circumstance and then they shop for you. They go, oh, no, they've got this too, their barrier's too high. Oh, that one's too low. Oh, no, that one, that's going to cost you money. And they take a big, good, solid picture of who you are as a borrower. Now, why is that important? Because the cost of money will be impacted. Now, what does that mean? That means that if you go and get a loan, the lender is going to look at you as your ability to pay back, and depending on certain criteria, your credit score, the money that you make, the amount of debt that you have, any kind of things that you don't know about, like that parking ticket that you forgot to pay 2 years ago, or the dentist that really drilled and gave you a bad, whatever it was that you didn't take care of. This is the time for you to be thinking of those things, to get those things taken care of. And going to a loan broker, she or he will find all of those things. And long before they ever do something called a hard pull, they will do a soft pull of your credit, meaning you won't lose points, because every time somebody goes to look at your credit, you lose points. And you probably have been solicited a few times by credit card companies and wondered, how do they know? And why are they targeting me? Well, there's this thing called the public presence, and your information that sits out there is reported to 3 different agencies. So it's in your best interest to make sure that you look the best possible. Get your debt down, pay things down, pay off your credit cards, and don't go over 50% of your credit limits. Why? Because it costs you points. Now, that's all information I can go into detail at a later time. But right now, let's talk about what does it cost to get into a house, and why would I get into a house? So the more informed you are, the less buyer's remorse that you'll have. Now, remember, I did say 1 out of 2. So if there are 2 in the buying decision, one of you is going to be unhappy and the other one's going to go, see, I told you everything would work out. So what does it cost for a starter home here in Los Angeles? In California, the average price for a home, for a median price starter home in California, is $736,000. Now, by the way, you ain't going to get much for $736,000 in any of the coastal cities like San Francisco, San Diego, Los Angeles, Santa Barbara. No, you will not get much, but it is called a starter home. So guess what? You're not going to get a beach view. Oh, I know that some of you were thinking, well, $736,000 is so much money. I can get to the beach and have an ocean view. Well, you might have to go to another state to do that, because the national average is $459,900, which is why so many people have been moving out of California, taking all of their money that they get on their homes and their purchases, or if they're new buyers and got these great steady jobs and they've been saving gobs of money, they go to other states because they go, I could get a whole lot more house for the cash that I've got. So going to a loan broker now tells you how much are you qualified to buy based on how much money do you make, how much money do you have, how much money are you going to put down on it, and how much debt do you have. So this is not the time for you to go out and buy your Charger season ticket. You'll have to wait until you close escrow on the house to do that. But you will be able to do that because you will be more credit worthy at that time, because once you have a loan, you'll be amazed at how many people want to start giving you money. Seriously. So let's take a look at why would we want to make a purchase when we can just keep renting? Well, because there's this thing called taxes. and your income tax. Would you like to keep more of your income than giving it to the IRS or to the Franchise Tax Board, whatever state that you're in, after you've maxed out your 401k and the amount of contributions that you can make? Now, I'm going to guess that you understand what I'm talking about, but if you don't understand it, you're going to drop in and DM me and say, what does that mean? And how do I get that information? And what can I do if I have this? DM me, because you are going to get some information. And if I don't know, and I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know everything, but if I don't know, I know somebody that does, and they'll be able to help you. So let's compare your purchase with a rental. A rental, the average rental price is based on about 0.08% to 1% of its market value. Now, how do you find market value? Well, that's real easy. If you're looking at a rental, and let's just say you're renting a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house with a cute little yard for the doggies, you could look at that address of your property that you're renting, and you can go out to Zillow, Trilio, any of the other sites that you already know how to do, because you're out there surfing for your house, aren't you? And they give you averages on those houses. So you could go look at the market value, okay? Now, market value is based on what a willing seller is willing to take to a willing buyer that's willing to pay. That's what market value is. It don't mean a thing just because it means it's sitting on Zillow. Okay. If you were looking at a house that has a value of roughly $800,000, you might take your little calculator, and I'm going to show you how to do a simple calculation. And let's just say, I think it's worth $800,000. That's what Zillow said that the house was worth, right? So it says it's $800,000, and I'm going to multiply it times 0.08. And I'm going to hit the equal sign. And it says that would be a rental value of $64,000. One more calculation, hit your division and go to 12, because they're 12 months. Nobody gets any time off for good behavior. So it comes out to $5,300 a month. So let's just say you're in a house that's only worth, let's say the house is worth $750,000. Because again, you're going to get a fixer-upper at $750,000. I'm telling you that right now. $750,000 is going to be small. It's 1,200 feet, which is probably what your starter homes are going to be. So $750,000 times 0.08 gets me to $60,000. Well, how much is 60,000 divided by 12? I can already tell you. $5,000. Mental math. Okay, $5,000. That's about what you're paying. But we're going to go compare that now. We're going to compare this. Why do I want you to compare it? Because I want you to feel good about what you're purchasing. You're probably paying somewhere between $4,500 and $5,000 for that house that's worth $750,000. And maybe you're paying a little bit less if you're out in the mountainous area or you're more rural area, or the house has got a lot of problems. Think, how squeaky are the doors? How many dips in the floor are there? Are things peeling up off the floor or on the walls? When you go to turn the shower on, do you have to use, a wrench to turn it on? Am I painting you a picture that it needs a little bit of work? All right, so fixers will also change its value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to show you why you want to take a look at numbers, matching numbers for numbers. I know a lot of people are thinking, oh my God, the interest rates just went up and I can't afford anything anymore. I'm going to share something with you, and you're going to remind me if I didn't about the purchase that I made on the house that I'm in right now. So if I forget, you're going to tell me, okay? So the reason why people are panicked is the cost of money. What do I mean by the cost of money? So glad you asked. The cost of money is the interest rate at which a lender is going to charge you for borrowing the money. What? You mean I got to pay that back? Yes, you got to pay it back. And you don't get to use somebody else's money for free. There is a reason why people do this. They make money at this. And the lenders know this. They love this. The truth is, the market was going crazy. It still hasn't gotten out of its halcyon state, okay? But it's getting better. And the interest rates just recently adjusted downward. So the feds who turned up the dial on the interest rates, saying it's going to cost more to borrow the money, did slow the market because it was too hot, slowed it down just a little bit. And they're talking about, ooh, let's turn it up again. No, the bankers and the lenders are all going, okay, let's just ease this just a little bit. So you're going to see fluctuation in the interest rates for a little bit until they flatten out a little bit more. All right. But it ain't that bad, even at 7%. And I'll show you why. Now, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you something really, really interesting. I know you're going to go, oh my God, that is not interesting. Linda Kaye, that is not interesting. Those are numbers. Well, get real comfortable with numbers, okay? And the really, really important thing for you to understand here is that what I'm going to talk to you about is I'm going to compare your rental. And let's just say that you're paying somewhere between $4,500 and $5,000 for that $750,000 valued house in rent. You don't get any money back at the end of the year. You don't get to write off any of the interest at the end of the year when you go to do your taxes. And you have to pay for everything else anyway, from all of the utilities to the only thing you're not paying for is the property tax, probably not paying for the water in an apartment, but you're paying for everything else if you're in a house and you're renting it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at what does it cost for a loan. Let's just say you're going to borrow $850,000. Today, I looked at what the interest rate was, what the going interest rate was today. And what I found was that it was 5.49%. So I put in what's it cost for the cost of money, 5.49%. And as soon as I hit return, as soon as I put enter in, it's going to chunk change all these numbers. Okay. So let's see what it does. And by the way, oh, it did change, but let's make it look even better because we're going to make the payments over a loan period of 20. Oh no, 30 years. Why 30? Because if the interest rates get better, which they will, you're going to go refinance your house. And in that period, after you've been in the house for a little bit, let's just say for a year, even 2 years, the interest rates are going to go down. And when the interest rates go down, you're going to go refinance the house so you can get your payments even lower. Because now we can see what this looks like. Okay, at 30 years, this is telling us that at 12 payments a year, and we start that, oh, maybe we should update this. Maybe we are going to close escrow 3/1/2023 instead. So those numbers just changed properly over here, right? So this tells you when your payment is due, what the balance is, what your scheduled payment. You mean I can purchase that $850,000 home at 5.49% and pay less than what I'm paying in rent? Oh, but wait, there's more. There are even more benefits here. So this benefit, and I'm just going to walk you through this. So every single month, your total payment goes $932.12 towards the principal. That's the amount of the loan that's going down. The rest of that payment is going in interest. Remember, I told you somebody makes money by lending you the money because you do not want to pay all $850,000 in cash. You want to use somebody else's money, and there are advantages to doing this, and there are lots. But I used to kid each time I've ever purchased a house. I go, oh, today I just bought a window. Oh, I just bought a sink. Oh, I just bought another door. Oh, this one was an interior door because they're very expensive for exterior doors. And I just kind of played a common ground on this and just laughed about it. But let's just say that you've been in the house for 36 months. Payment number 36. Okay. And on payment number 36, oh, now look, I'm not any longer paying the 900. I'm now more money is going towards my interest. Now, let's just say that I'm not quite as lucky. And this is all about cash flow, isn't it? This is how much money am I spending each and every single month. Here's the best news out of all of this is that every bit of this interest, if you're in California, every bit of this interest is tax deductible. You know how you have your house or how you have, if you work for a company, they take out lots of taxes. Now you can adjust that a little bit because you're going to get all that money back, even though they're taking money out of your check every single month. And this is why you want to talk to an advisor. I am not giving you tax advice. I am not giving you financial advice. I'm just giving you the lay of the land as it is right now. So you want to talk to people that give you really good advice, but your tax advisor will tell you that of your interest, of your payment, there's an amount of it that you get to deduct against the money that you made, meaning you're going to get more of that money at the end of the year back that you had paid in. You can adjust these, and I advise you to go to your tax advisor that gives you really good tax advice, and somebody that you trust that will tell you and confirm that these things are correct. The other thing that you're going to be able to write off is when you make that first purchase, there are expenses with it, closing costs. All of that is tax deductible. It is score. You really make money at this. Now, but it's at the end of the year, so you have to wait a year. But now the reason why we're comparing this is to say, what am I doing with the money that I have? If you're renting, not much. You're spending all of that and more, and none of it is recoverable in your tax deductions at the end of the year. So let's just say that the interest rates, because my credit wasn't quite as good as it should be, or I didn't know that my spouse had forgotten to pay a doctor bill, and it caused their credit to go down by 100 points. Oh, that hurts. So now it's going to cost you 6% for that same amount of money. Look what it did to the monthly. In the monthly, it changed it just slightly, but you can see what would happen if now I can shop. And if you like this calculator, you tell me you want this calculator, I will send it to you. DM me. I'm going to send this calculator to you. It's a spreadsheet. If you can work a spreadsheet, you can go figure out on your own and play some little scenarios for yourself. Let's just see what 6.5 is going to do. Oh, it went up to 5,100. So if you're in the balance of 4.59, 5.49, and see how much of a drop that you just had? $300 can make a big difference to you, right? So these are the reasons. So now let's see what would happen if I put in 750,000. See how easy this is? You're going to be a genius. You're going to know exactly what you can afford and what these numbers are going to look like. Oh my God, look at this. $4,200 now for a $750,000 house. And maybe I have more money that I'm going to put down, so maybe I could afford to buy more house. This is how this works, and this is how you figure it out. Now your payment is $4,200, and look at all the money you get to claim back. That's about 36. That's going to be, let's just say, average 3,500. How much do I get to write off at the end of the year? I'm so glad you asked. 3,500 times 12, I get to write off $42,000. $42,000. That means even if I spent $42,000 of my hard-earned money and I want it back, because you know I do, all I have to do is come up with all these expenses. And if it had been deducted, you're getting it back. Just saying. I mean, there's calculations and all kinds of things. But again, you want to make sure that you are coming up with all the right answers so you feel comfortable about making your decision. Now, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we're going to have a simple conversation. And I'm back. There you go. Was that fun or what? So here's the thing. You can't get away from buyer's remorse. The bigger the ticket item, the more dissonance that we have about what did we just do? And oh my God, we knew we needed to do it. Maybe there's somebody, we want a yard for our garden and in the future, maybe have a family there. The point is that there are lots more really good reasons for you to get into the market and stop sitting on the sidelines. But if you find yourself having that sobering moment where you go, what did I just do? Don't worry. Everybody can experience it at least once in their life. But here are some ways for you to get more control of your life and have you feel like, boy, did I make a smart decision? Because I did tell you I was going to share something with you. I was looking at some old papers and I was looking at when I bought my house. Now, I bought my house when my child was 2 years old and I moved here to Los Angeles. And my house was about $650,000. Okay. Today, that house is worth at least 7 times more than that. Six times more than that. You do the math. I paid over 7% for interest at that time, and I still bought. I didn't have the down payment entirely, and I still bought. And there are a number of other things that I actually said and sent out a text message about this morning about why I did it and why I didn't hold back. I really had decided this was going to be it for me. I literally said, I didn't make the kind of money that I was advising somebody. We didn't make $200,000 between us, because I had just gotten married and we still did it. We still bought the house. We didn't have the down payment. We still bought the house. When we ran out of excuses, we bought the house. So here's a few thoughts that I'm going to leave you with. And if you like this, hit that bell, go ding, 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 so you get more notices when this thing comes up again and I post something else. Be sure to subscribe so you can get notifications of these when they come out. So here are a couple of ways for you to avoid buyer's remorse. Do your homework. Really, make sure you do your homework, because even when you do your homework and you've gotten the best deal, you're still going to feel like, oh my God, what was I thinking? You were thinking the right thing. Let me just tell you why. Because you don't get the kind of deductions when you're renting. Plus, you have this two little phantom things going on in here. When you buy a house, you now have a tax deduction, but you also have something called appreciation. Not like, oh, I appreciate you buying the house. No, appreciation, meaning what my house was worth back in 1997. It's no longer worth that in 2023. Remember that 6X factor? I'm there. So that's called appreciation. And it also has this other thing called I'm going to call it a savings account, because what you're doing is you're paying down the mortgage every single month. So you owe less and less and less and less. You wouldn't save that money otherwise, right? So over time, your loan will go down and your appreciation will go up. Now, there's two really good, solid reasons, and you've done your homework. You've bought the best that you can buy in the best location. Buy well. When you buy, think about selling. So if you go, oh, I don't care if the schools are dicey. I'm never going to have kids in this neighborhood. They're never going to go to school here. Well, somebody that buys the house may. So you got to think about those things. And if you're still feeling that rub, you're still feeling like, oh, I got a heartburn over this, I can't stand it, then adjust your budget. Because if you feel like you overpaid, then you can also take control of your own budget and start reducing your expenses a little bit. And when you feel a little bit more jolly, go out to Starbucks and buy a Frappuccino. Number 2, remember why you bought. Oh, sometimes you just got to remember, because when you remember how much money you spent that you could never get back, you got no appreciation for, you got no reduction in anything except you paid rent. It only went up and you had no tax benefits for that. Remember that. Remember why you are buying the house. You're building value. You're building your future. You've got goals. You're going somewhere. Number 3, imagine. Oh, imagine what you can do to that house. Imagine never hearing anybody going, bang, 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 stop that noise. No, because now you can make all the noise you want. It's your house. You don't like something, you don't have to go ask permission to go put up a big anchor on that wall or worry about it. And here's the best part. Imagine all of those parties you're going to have at that new table that you're going to build, or you're going to buy from IKEA, or wherever you're going to get it. Number 4, create your memories. And remember what I said earlier. When you run out of excuses, go buy the house. I'm Linda Kaye, and I hope you got great value. If you liked what you heard today, please remember to share it with others. People that are trying to figure out, should I buy a house? Should I not buy a house? What do I do? Help them understand it's okay. And make sure you get invited to their party. See you soon.